Yami Gautam and Neha Dhupia, thank you so much for joining me for this lovely, lovely conversation. And obviously, congratulations are in order because we're talking about the good things that we are hearing for 8th Thursday. And also, since I am meeting you after Yami, your wedding, and Neha, your motherhood a second time, so congratulations for that as well.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Griha.
Thank you is also in order, Griha.
So yeah, coming back on 8th Thursday, I mean, the fact that I happened to watch the film only yesterday, and I was, I don't want to say it because like, you guys are sitting in front of me, but the film is really all heart, and you guys have your message in place. You know what you're doing, and that's something that translated well with me as an audience. So, are you hearing similar sentiments of people who watched the film, or anything different?
Yeah, similar and much more, much more. And as I said, there's only so much that it feels you can type, on social media. There's a character limit, but the kind of DMs or the kind of personal messages, phone calls, social media, I think it's a sentiment which is really echoing very strongly. And for all the actors, for the film that it is, for the where the heart belongs, I think it's not just one of those short messages that people are sending. It's those long ones, and when you know it's a long one, it's touched you somewhere deep down, and it doesn't just remain a film or a film that you've just been associated and you move on after some certain time. I think it's something which is going to stay for me. The response is something which is going to stay for me and for Team A Thursday. And I'm so happy that everything that went in making this film, the journey I've had with Neha Jaiswal, feels all worth it. Feels good.
Absolutely. And Neha, you had your own production happening along with producing this particular film while this film was filming. So that is something, that's never been done before. In an industry which used to hide motherhood, which used to hide marriages, this is something which is path-breaking in itself. You actually filming for the role of a tough cop while you were, in your 8th month of pregnancy is something that we must talk about.
Oh, wow, Griha, thank you. I mean, I almost have goosebumps because I'm not just standing up for myself here, I'm also standing up for a lot of women out there who have to cancel out either or. So whether it's, personal dreams or professional aspirations, it's always that. I mean, try getting an actor, getting him married and, him having children, and what changes in his life? Absolutely nothing. Get an actress, do the same, and everything from the roles she's offered, from the amount of time she has to sit at home, the number of times she has to prove herself, from the number of times, how it's the fine balance. And then, of course, comes 100 million things like guilt and all, which we're not even getting into. So my whole point was over here, and I was coming from a place, Griha, where I'm talking about it openly now because somewhere deep down I have the courage because I've done it. Is I was asked to step down from a lot of projects that I was working, and so to say, we are in a business which is about appearances, about characters that we play, and I get it. I respect that I was cast as somebody who wasn't pregnant, and then I got pregnant. But if one person can maneuver around it, and that's a maker like Behzad or Ronnie Screwvala, somewhere I feel that others will also do so. So the film doing well has also opened a lot of conversation around very, very important topics. This being, I wouldn't say a smaller one. It's a very large one as well. And I seriously think, and I sincerely hope that, more and more women in cinema, or more and more women, wherever they are, if they want to or wish to sit at home because of clinical or emotional reasons while they're pregnant, they should do so. And I respect that. But the ones who want to go out and work should do so as well. I'm hoping a role like this can somewhere make a difference.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually my cue because Neha, when I was watching the film, that's something that actually stood out for me also because a woman who is expecting is actually put in a place of being vulnerable. That's something that your character wasn't. That's something that stood out for me because even in a place where you have to be protecting yourself and being careful, that's something that you probably stood out, and that stereotype was thankfully done away with, and that really stood out for me because anybody who's pregnant would be saying, acha, acha, take care, or probably don't do this. She's vulnerable. Emotions are heightened. So you can't really, of course, play a cop in that situation. So that wasn't there with your character.
No, not at all. In fact, Behzad also asked me, and I just told him that, both my pregnancies, people look at me, and not just me, everyone, say that, oh no, be careful. I understand we're giving lives, but being pregnant is not our weakness, it's our strength. And we want to act upon it, and when we walk into a room, we're not the weakest person, or we're not the weakest being in that room just because we're pregnant. We're actually the strongest because we're giving life,
Yeah.
So I wanted to switch that around. And then, we didn't. In fact, Yami also mentioned this in an earlier interview. And then there's this one part where, I tell Lokhande, who's the cop who's with me, the inspector, and then he's trying to get me a chair or something. And, he's been asked to go. It's a small nudge. But Bez and me wanted to make sure there's no fuss around it. It is what it is. She says that she's going to miss her doctor's appointment, call of duty, and boom, she goes. So let's get down to work. And as being pregnant twice over as well, I've always been that person, and I'm just okay, morning sickness done, check done, okay, cravings out of the way, 8:45 at work. So you just have to do that.
Mm-hmm. And Yami, for you, I'm sure there has to be various other reasons for you to say that immediate yes to this character, because obviously it can't be a monologue. Even if you are steering the film on your shoulder, there has to be an absolute depth. So obviously I'd wait for people who have not yet watched the film to watch the film and understand what we're talking about. But what was that one nudge to say that yes to Naina Jaiswal's role?
No, it's never just one aspect or one nudge that makes you say yes, or just that one scene that makes a film what it makes. I think it's that entire journey from begin to the end, and how it starts and how it culminates, whether it's wholesome or not, how pivotal is the role, and what is it trying to say at its heart. And the person who's going to make it, your director, where does he come from, or what does it mean? A subject like this, what does it mean to him? So all these questions are very important to me, because I hadn't met Behzad before this film. So when I finished reading, of course I was flying through the pages because I wanted to know what's happening. I'm really engaged in her journey. And then the way it hit everybody in the last 10-15 minutes, it hit me as well. And it took me a little while to express, to make a call to Behzad. I knew that I want to be a part of this film, but I wanted to first understand from him that what does this film mean to you, and why do you want to tell the story? Because that intent has to be correct. That intent cannot be pretentious. It cannot be that just because it's the new age, or there's a trend of female leading films, etc., is enough a reason for you to make a film. I do not believe in that. I have been offered female-oriented scripts before, but I didn't think they were the right stories, or I didn't feel strong enough in my gut that no, this I need to be a part of this. So that purity in intent is very important. And of course, then your story, your script, your craft, the technicalities, and 1,000 other things. So yes, and as an actor, I think there's so much that Naina gave me a chance to portray. She was switching from one emotion to the other, and how do you put a fine line and not overdo things where you can delve, because it's still a territory which is very unexplored. And then you take your audience through from point A to where it reaches the end, the last 15 minutes of the film. That was a lot of work, and a lot of layers, and a lot of homework, a lot of thought, and but it all feels worth it, I think, in the end. Naina was.
Mm-hmm. When the first rushes of the film was out, a Thursday, obviously people were making direct inferences from a Wednesday. I mean, obviously, when people watch the film eventually is when they realize whether it's a sequel to the film or not. But expectations then ride. They will actually pit you against a Nasiruddin Shah because you're playing the pivotal character. Were you ready for that?
That's not how I think. I think you've named a very such an brilliant actor in this question for me, and that for me is a great achievement. I take it as a compliment. I cannot be pitted against Sir, and that is not the idea. That's not how you should approach your character or do a film as an actor. If not anything, you should be inspired only from great performances. No, that's how you grow in life. That's how you grow as an actor. And inferences, comparisons, and parallels are something which is on the other side, which is put it over to you. We didn't do that, and I don't even. That was a cult film, and I don't think talking about it now after people having watched the film, it will do anything. So they're both different films with we know what a Wednesday did. Great writing, direction, performances, and we have a Thursday. It's probably the title, and I wish Ronnie was here to answer this because he's backed a Wednesday. Then he's backed our film now, but different times, different stories, and people have been kind enough to watch it for what it is. And if somebody still wants to draw, then that's your thing. I mean, I don't have to comment on anything, right? So yeah.
Okay, so earlier in the interview, we were talking about the conversations that the film has started. And Neha, I don't want to continue to harp on the pregnancy bit with you. You'll think that I'm only asking you those questions, but I was really excited to understand, did you have those questions for your gynae when you were actually going on set? Because this is the 8th month of pregnancy that we're talking about. You must have chewed her brains on what you can do and cannot do. Was that the case with you or not?
Listen, I put out a post and I had over 10 million people like that post because it was a thank you post from my gynecologist. She is just the best gynecologist. Like you're in labor and I'm just like, you don't want to see your husband's face. You want to see her face. She's forever smiling and she's gorgeous. She's got I'm just telling you that she's just amazing. I can go on and on about her, but forget the 8th month. I've chewed her brains all through 18 months, like between both the pregnancies. But yes, there was this one time when, I don't know if you see that hand that comes out, which is Yami's hand, and there's a gunshot right up top. And so there was a real gunshot that we were dealing with. And I was just like, I'm calling her, I'm like, Doc, you think my baby's gonna wake up? Because, babies are usually awake at night when it's still, but when there's movement and then, this gunshot and all that. She's like, just calm down. And every time I would call her with something else, and I'm just like, I'm standing in the rain and I'm doing this. And she was just like, you've done it before, you're doing it again. The question is, are you going to listen to me? I'm like, no. She's like, are you feeling okay? I'm like, and then there were times that she would just be like, Neha, the baby is fine, and keep the phone on. Like, she won't even say hi. Like, she'd just be like, Neha, the baby is fine. There's someone in labor. And then keep the phone on. The number of calls I made to her was not even funny.
Okay. And you were dealing with children yourself, and that too on set. In 8 do nahi, Yami, 16 of them. And those little kids, I mean, children today are smarter than adults. I mean, they know everything that they are so impressionable. So did you have to deal with those smart minds on set on a daily basis yourself?
Absolutely. I knew inside out their poop timings and their feed times and 1,000 other things, and their headaches and their stomach aches, and this one is hitting that one and that one is not letting them play, and everything by the end of it. And and it just and of course they are vulnerable, the kids at the end of the day, but because of this whole breakthrough of internet and to see a device, and even in their age in their hands, they're very aware, and they have questions, and they have some really good questions also, and you got to answer them, and you got to keep them engaged, you got to keep them happy. We know the kind of film we were shooting, but nowhere it should get heavy on them. They should be excited to come and sit there and be engaged and work at the same time. And you have to always keep in mind that anything can happen with kids. I've shared this with some of your colleagues. There was one little kid, she refused to land and come on the mark. She just wanted to drag her own personal chair, small little yellow chair, I remember, and just sit like this in the frame, in the shot, and while me doing something really intense, and that's it, and just watch it with her feet dangling in the air. And she did this 4 times. Every time she would say, okay, yes, I will go and run. but then she would end up doing the same thing again. So you want to, and you know, you don't have the luxury of time. You're working in COVID. You want to make sure they are safe. So a lot of things. I think we have to give it to Behzad for this and a production for managing it really well. And then we found our path. You know, we found a way that, okay, if I would get 5 minutes to myself and I want to take a small breather, I would sit, you know, in the corner on a chair, and then they would come one by one and tell me some story or something, or I would just watch them saying some really cute things. I'll apply some fake makeup on some girls. They wanted me to, they were very aware, and blush and eyeshadow, and you know, I didn't understand. One of them had such a cute list, and I said, "What?" She's like, eyeshadow, blush, and she would explain me, and she like, not just this fake lipstick, put the real things.
You got taken for a ride.
Yeah.
Both Neha and Yami, when you started out in your respective careers, the kind of conversations that your film or Thursday has started, have you seen that shifting constantly from back when you started out to now? Do you think more and more films are being made so that these conversations remain, and you know, people are being conscious, and you know, more and more audiences are being sensitized towards these kind of situations, because, and especially because of the advent of OTT, because of the kind of content that's being made?
I really think there are lots has changed. I mean, I started and I was sort of, you know, I joined the business in 2003, and for me, I feel like, and when you people also sort of use the term body positivity in a very loose manner, like, you know, it's a serious thing. For the ones who aren't comfortable in their skin, it's serious. For the ones who are comfortable in their skin, can put out, you know, such an important message. But you need to have a sense of maturity, which comes through maybe experience, maybe just extreme amount of confidence. And the most important thing is, throw me in a situation when I was younger and then ask me to be confident in a body that was literally like, you know, I literally increased like 2 sizes in my denims while I was shooting, because it would suddenly be like my buttons aren't shutting, and there was, you know, I was having one growth spurt after another when we did the fitting to when, you know, by the time we finished. But and then I was for maybe a flash, for maybe a moment, I did see that, you know, what if, like, you know, are people going to only like judge me or look at me like this? Because as actors, we're all vain, you know, there's no taking away from that. And, you know, when you're checking the monitor, you're checking the shot, we all do that, everyone in front of the camera and even behind. I mean, I kind of have reached a point in my life where, for me, body positivity stands for 2 things. One is, you have got to be extremely comfortable in your skin and confident. And for me, comfort in my skin will come back when I'm fit enough to like run behind my kids for the rest of my life. For me, like, that's how comfortable and fit I want to be. The second thing about body positivity comes in a way that, you know, it comes from a lot of experience and also an understanding. And literally, like, every time I get somewhere, I feel like, oh, you know, this jacket's not fitting me the way it should be or how it is, I've just given birth. And literally, it's a conversation with my body that I have to be kind to it. Because, you know, this is the body that's given me the 2 most beautiful beings on this planet. Like, it's because of this body that I see my children, and, you know, that I can't have anything against it. I can't have anything against those 80 stitches I have on my stomach, and, you know, that I see every day. And, you know, there are days that I'm just like, oh my God, maybe I'm not looking, you know, as thin as this actress, or as slender as I used to be. I will come back to it, but there is always a whole bunch of emotions that you go through, but you have to be kind to yourself. There's no other way that it's going to happen. And as far as the business is concerned, people are going to understand. And no matter how thin you are, people are always going to be judging you. I still remember that in my first film, Qayamat, my first shot literally on Indian cinema was me coming out in a pink bikini. And now when I look back, and I'm just like, whoa, like, you know, that's hot. And then at that point, when I was like 22 or 23, I was just like, no, but I'm not happy with that body also. So, you know, it comes from an entirely different place. And it's only now when I'm much older that I can talk about it. And be uninhibited, and I want to talk like this. I want to say these things out to people because I don't want anyone else being uncomfortable. Feel fit, feel happy, and don't let anyone judge you for your dimensions. And that's not your goal in life.
Part of this has also got to do with the audience and the way they have started reacting. Also, the advent of social media has to do with it because people are not easily pleased. They have something or the other to say about any and everything. Like I said, it's about sensitization also. But then again, everybody has a voice and they want to actually go ahead and put it. So that's also there. The social media is to blame for that. So do you think
Griha,
that's why?
Sorry to interrupt. I have a crying baby at home. Is it
No,
okay if I drop off?
Yes, please. I'm so sorry to keep you waiting.
No, it's fine. It's just that his feed was at 4:30 now.
No, please go ahead, please. I know. Mommy,
Bye.
you Thank you so much.
Bye. Sorry, I'm just going to drop off this call.
No,
Thank
it's
you,
fine.
bye.
It's fine. Bye.
Take care. Yeah, sorry. So I was talking about the fact that the advent of social media has led to more and more kind of content that we see in films or OTT space also when it comes to web series or films. Do you think that is also to do with it, the way audiences started reacting to it?
See, I come from a space where I made a debut with a film like Vicky Donor. And the success of such a film, for example, that was a year 2012 where we saw so many different films coming on the big screen and doing well, and they're doing well because that is what reflects the mindset of the audience. They were ready since then. It's we who have to really pull up our socks and give them something good, give them something. It doesn't have to be only, it doesn't mean that only a certain kind or genre of film is entertainment or engaging. It could be anything. And just alone, as I said, the fact that just because there is a film, is leading a very important message, that alone is enough. No, that's also not enough. At the end of the day, it's cinema. It's a film. People want to be entertained. People want to be engaged, if that's a better word.
Okay. So before I let you go, Yami, I have a little segment where I want you to be as hydrated as possible. I want you to take sips from your glass of water. And what I'll do is I'll give you these little instances. Agar aapki zindagi mein aisa kuch bhi hua hai, you've experienced something in your life, something similar. You take a sip, tell me the little story behind it. Very quickly we'll do it.
There's only this much water. Rest is all finished.
Then you'll act.
So
Then you'll act. Take a sip. Okay. The first one. Take a sip if you've ever had a very nasty audition experience. Nasty or a really funny one. Funny audition experience.
Yeah. Of course. I'll take a small one. Of course, there've been so many. I think I'll stick to the funny one, which was not so funny for me at that time. I think why to go, intense route. I have a dimple here on my cheek, and there was this room full of professional models and all, and you're so new and you're anyway little nervous. Not little, I was very nervous. And this girl who's taking my audition, she was constantly like, can you just touch up that pimple on your cheek? It's really bothering, And I just looked in the mirror. I said, there was no pimple when I started off from home. So what has come up? And I thought she's referring, I understood, to my dimple. And then she had some comment about it, where the way it's looking. And I didn't know what to say or how to give it back to her. I just did my audition and I got the part.
Thanks to the dimple, not the pimple.
Dimple and pimple story. Yeah, dimple pimple story. Yeah.
Take a sip if you've ever been stopped at the airport and by a fan or somebody and had been addressed by one of your screen names, character names.
Yes. It's happening a lot during Uri, I remember. And what they wanted to do was just do How's the Josh at any time of the day. I remember it was a 4 a.m. flight. So we were at the airport, of course, at 2:30-ish. And you can open your eyes after those long string of promotions and 1,000 other things you're doing. But they want you to say, How's the Josh? As How's the Josh? And I'm like, listen, guys, I don't know how to pretend, but what to do at any time, like 12 o'clock flight or, 3 o'clock or 6 o'clock. Ma'am, how's the Josh? And I want you to say hi, sir, and everything, which is great. But yeah, sometimes, that would just wake me up from my sleep.
So after your wedding with Aditya, you probably gave it back to him. Ki, bhai, ab Now you show me how's the Josh. For all the sleepless nights and everything. So much for it, but it's caught on. Yeah, it's caught on like
Absolutely,
anything.
absolutely. I mean, it's a compliment. It's a huge
Yeah.
compliment, and it of course comes from the writer director who happens to be my husband. So
Okay, take a sip if you've ever had a rumor circulated about yourself in the media, which was absolutely incorrect. Of course, a rumor.
mm, yeah, many. There've been many. But something to do. I think recently when we got married, there was some news and some funny videos which some, you know how your relatives pinpoint and they send you some forwards and all, that we've been gifted X number of things by X number of actors. And I'm like, where is it coming from? They're like, wow, you were gifted this expensive watch, this apartment, this. Maine kaha, apartment? It was funny. Then I watched that video, and this again on a lighter note. Only I want to, keeping it. And I thought that's a rumor you wanted to be true now, but it wasn't. No, not even close to reality.
No Bangla miss. Okay. All right, Yami, thank you so much for doing this. And it's a beautiful film that you have at hand. I mean, more people watch it and more praises sung, in obviously in light of the film. That's something that we're talking about over here. Beautiful film. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Griha.